Welcome back to Let's Have It Out. I'm here in the ENCA studios in Johannesburg with Arthur Goldstuck, who, apart from being one of the country's top analysts, is South Africa's Walt Mossberg. He was the very first technology journalist in the country. Arthur, we're talking about artificial intelligence, and there's some very interesting use cases of it already. Most people may have heard of it or will see the very first example of it through Alexa, Amazon's voice assistant, because after all, voice is the primary interface for us humans, isn't it?
Exactly, and in fact, in the next few years, we're going to be seeing voice becoming a more important interface to your phone, for example, than the touch keyboard that you use. And certainly for computers, voice is going to be the primary interface. Your TV is going to be controlled by voice. So Amazon's Alexa is being built into smart TVs, but so is Google Assistant. And in fact, Google Assistant you're going to be able to use on your Android phone. Most new Android phones are in fact voice enabled. And same as Android has Google Assistant, Apple has Siri on every iPhone, for example. Microsoft machines have Cortana. So you have these intelligent assistants available to you in your hands. And people can actually try it out right now if they have an Android phone. But most people don't realize that it's actually there.
Indeed. I mean, I've been dictating my SMSs whilst driving and obviously stopped at the robot to Siri for years because the quality of it's getting higher and higher. In fact, Microsoft, as you mentioned, is using AI in a lot of things. Their translation software is fantastic. You know, I've used that frequently, and Skype, the original internet voice calling app, allows you to do real-time translation during a phone call. I mean, this is not possible without this next generation kind of machine learning.
It feels like something from Star Trek, and it's exactly what you say. It is machine learning. In fact, it's a great example of it because Skype translation, Google Translate, and all equivalents are improving all the time based on input from users, but not people telling them what's wrong or what's right. Simply the use of the tools is improving the tools, and that is machine learning in action thanks to the input of human beings.
Indeed, and we've recently got a very good solution for Gupta state capture translation. Let's hear from our viewers. We asked on social media if Africa is behind on the artificial intelligence curve and how we should approach what's being called the fourth industrial revolution. Pete Tong on Twitter says, quote, "Let's embrace it. AI, robots, and mechanization will do wonders for creating the jobs we need in South Africa, not." End quote. I'm sorry, Pete, but I have to disagree with you because I do think it is going to help push things further. While EC on Facebook says we should approach the fourth industrial revolution by, quote, focusing on the future now. Indeed. Thank you both, Pete and Ngobo, for the comments. So, Arthur, are we in the middle of the future? Are we existing as the future will be in, say, 5 or 10 years?
In 1996, I gave a talk entitled My Life as Science Fiction, and that was purely on the basis of having a basic cell phone in my hands. That, to me, was something straight out of the future, and that future has been getting better all the time, and we're closer and closer to the future that science fiction has promised us, and that's what makes all these new technologies very exciting for people who are waiting for it. But if you're scared of it, then the more things change and the faster it changes, the more it's going to scare you. The reality is that artificial intelligence, in fact, is the tool that could enable economies across Africa to leapfrog and catch up, in some cases, what is happening in the Western world. We need to embrace these tools, and we need to harness them in order to make that leapfrog.
Yeah, indeed. And in fact, one of my favorite examples of the power of machine learning is Google developed a thing called AlphaGo, which was a supercomputer that played the famous ancient Chinese game of Go, which is a series of black and white pebbles on a board, and the person who has their pebble or has their last chip on the board wins. It took them, so Go has been played for 3,000 years. It took AlphaGo 40 days to learn all of the secrets and learn all of the moves of past masters. AlphaGo eventually beat the best Go player in the world in a way that the European Go master who trained AlphaGo described it as beautiful. And that's quite profound. I mean, the description of an artificial intelligence doing something creative and far-reaching, quite spontaneous, as beautiful is really something. But that's not all. The most fascinating thing is that the next generation of the AlphaGo computer, called AlphaGo Zero, learned all of that stuff in just 3 days. I mean, it just shows the powerful potential for the accelerated way machine learning can do things and can start to solve things.
I must quote a South African who rose high up in the ranks of Microsoft years ago, Paul Maritz. He was number 3 at Microsoft behind Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer for many years. He left then and, among other things, headed up VMware,
yeah,
and started a company called Pivotal, which is all about analysis or analytics, as they prefer to call it. And I once attended a talk that he gave where he summed it all up beautifully. He said that in the past, the cycle between putting out a new product, measuring the effect or success of that product, and then gathering the information, analyzing it, and making a decision on either refining or replacing the product was around 18 months. Companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook had brought that 18-month period down to, how much do you think? Most people I ask that question will say a week, 2 weeks. Answer is 2 hours.
Yeah, it's quite a thing.
And in the next few years, that 2 hours will come down to 2 seconds. And it's the same kind of acceleration of artificial intelligence that we see with AlphaGo. But in terms of businesses using it, and this is a business use case of AI, imagine being able to, on the fly, in real time, because 2 seconds is real time, decide that a product that you've put out there isn't working and immediately decide how to fix it and to bring out a new product. That's exactly what Facebook and Amazon Web Services are doing almost every day.
Well, imagine if Transconnect could use that, people would stop setting fire to trains. We are going to take some more of your questions and comments after the break.